Hey, what's up guys, OSJ here with another comparison, and for me this is the most important comparison video ever, as it's on my favourite arcade game of all time, Double Dragon. So Double Dragon is a game that I always remember watching all the kids on and never being any good at back in 1987 when I was 11. I persevered though, and by the end of 88 I was a dab hand at it, mainly down to discovering that the elbow move was your best friend. It's also a game that I can vividly remember buying on the big box version for the C64. Wow, what a box. And I can also remember reading the box all the way home, so excited, only to be met with one of the biggest disappointments in the whole of my gaming life. Anyway, there are 18 home versions in this video, including 2 versions on the C64 and Amstrad, ranging from rubbish to awesome. As you will see, some deviate away from the original, but they all still have the Double Dragon feel. So without more delay, let's take a look at Double Dragon comparison in order of greatness. Kicking us off in 18th place we have the Atari 2600. Really, for the Atari this isn't a bad game, and it does an okay job for a platform it's on, but I have to compare it to the rest of the games and it's just not as good to play. The gameplay is less beat 'em up and more move back and forwards while mashing the button, in a hope that you get a punch in before the enemy does, which doesn't happen too often to be honest. Seventeenth place is taken by the Spectrum version. So the Spectrum falls short in all departments. Normally the Spectrum gets at least the graphics right, but in this one they seem to have made the same mistake as a lot of the home versions and use sprites that don't even resemble the arcade characters. Mix that with some of the slowest beat 'em up action ever and you've got one crap game on your hands. The Amstrad CPC is in 16th position, so as expected this one looks a lot better than the Spectrum and the Atari with great backgrounds, but the characters still look wrong. The gameplay is painfully slow and the sound effects are like nothing on this planet, and also the whole game mechanics are wrong. Like when you use a whip, I mean what the hell is that action all about? It was a real toss up between this and the Spectrum, which was worse, and this one only tipped it for colour. In 15th place we have the Commodore 64. So this is the version I had by Melbourne House, and as I said in the intro, loading this up was a real kick in the teeth. The game is so disjointed for a beat 'em up, and you can't actually string 2 moves together, so it becomes a hit and run repeat action all the way through the game. But the biggest problem I have with this version is that Double Dragon is loved for its music, and not to utilise the SID on this game is a real crime. Fourteenth place is taken by the Commodore 64. No, I haven't messed up here. There were 2 versions of this game, and this is a US version promotion. Don't get excited though, as this version is still not great. It does however have better combat, and as you can hear they have included the music, but it's still not enough to save this game. And for me, even if I'd had this version, I would still have been disappointed. Atari 7800 is in 13th position. Okay, so this version is what we would expect from the Atari graphics wise, but then you start playing it, and for an Atari game this is great. It's hard though, as the enemies are really hard to kill, so much so I played for ages to get this footage, as I was dying all the time, and for that reason it spoils the Double Dragon experience, which is a shame. In 12th place we have the Amstrad 128K version. So this was made by Richard Applin, yeah, the guy who made all those crappy versions of Final Fight, but I have to say that this one is quite good. I hadn't actually played this before a few months ago and Zypho told me about it. Okay, so let's start with the graphics. Yeah, it's ugly as sin, but it resembles the arcade. And then there's the gameplay. It's slow, but it still feels like Double Dragon. I'm sure you know it pains me to say this, but this is the best 8-bit micro version of this game, and had it been a tad faster, it would have been above the ST and Amiga too. Eleventh place is taken by the Atari ST. So this game and the next game are total letdown for the system they are on. I mean, yeah, we can get away with the old what do you expect from a beat 'em up on an 8-bit, but for the Atari ST and Amiga it should have been much better. I mean, what the fuck is going on with that curly perm that Billy has here? And then there's the lack of music. I mean, why would they ever do such a bad job? Amiga is in 10th position, so this version really boils my piss when I play it. Let's face it, Double Dragon ain't the most technical beat 'em up, and for them to get this version so wrong is a travesty. It has all the bad things that we saw in the Atari ST, but on this system we expected more. And that death cry that the enemies do when they die is more like me with my head down the toilet after 10 pints of lager on a Friday night. This is shocking. In 9th place we have the IBM PC version. So this version isn't much better than the Atari and Amiga, but actually it plays a bit better. Yeah, it might be down to the emulation speed or something, but all I can do is play the games using the emulators I have. And although it's still crap, it played slightly better than the previous ones. Still though, this is not the Double Dragon I knew and loved. Eighth place is taken by the Game Boy, so from now on in the games are good, and we start off with a couple of great little handheld versions. The Game Boy version is much like the NES version that we will see in a bit, and it's one that doesn't really follow the arcade as far as level design. Even with these differences though, the game is still great and has a real Double Dragon feel to it. Atari Lynx is in 7th position, so this is the first of the games on the list that really looks like Double Dragon. I never had a Lynx, but I'm sure that if I had this back in the day I would have been blown away by this. There is a major problem with this game though, and it's the game to screen ratio. It's all just a bit too big for a 3.5 inch screen, which spoils the game for me. But still, for a handheld this is pretty damn good. In 6th place we have the Sega Master System. So as with the Game Boy and the NES, the Master System version gave the Double Dragon the cartoon effect that we came to expect from these systems. Whilst it don't look like Double Dragon, it has the feel, and the lovely 8-bit Master System music just worked. Even though I don't enjoy this as much as the NES version, this version is truer to the arcade as far as level design goes. Fifth place is taken by the NES version. So as I said, this is a lot different from the arcade, but as with the likes of Bionic Commando and Ninja Gaiden, that's not always a bad thing. And in Double Dragon on the NES we get one of, if not the best, 8-bit beat-em-ups ever made. The whole game just plays brilliant, and if we weren't comparing it directly to the arcade it might have been even higher, as a standalone beat-em-up it's so good. Sega Mega Drive version takes 4th place. As far as the original home versions go, this version is the closest in looks, gameplay and music. It is really like the arcade, but there's just something not right in the gameplay department. It's hard to put my finger on just what though. Maybe it's that it's a bit too quick, but it definitely doesn't play right to me. And I'm not a fan of this music on this version either. It's all a bit too tinny for me. Still though, this is probably the best home version back in the day. In 3rd place we have the Xbox 360 version. This was released on the Xbox Live, and normally I wouldn't include the newer versions as they are just emulated, but this version, as you can see, has had a full revamp with reskinned high-def sprites and backgrounds. The gameplay is exactly the same as the arcade, so I'm sure that it's all just on top of the original game, but still the effort is there and it's a great version of the game. Second place is taken by the Game Boy Advance version. Named Double Dragon Advance, this version took the arcade game to another level. I remember playing this for the first time a few years ago and being totally blown away at how, even though the game is different, still feels like Double Dragon. So much so, for me this is the best version, and it's a game that I still regularly play today. So why isn't it top then, I hear you say? Well, you'll find out next. And now, in 1st place we have the Zeebo version. Right, this is the first time I've ever included a game this high that I haven't played, but the Zeebo is a system that can't be emulated at this time, and also they are rare over here in the UK, and even rarer with Double Dragon. I have been talking to a few Zeebo users, and they say that this is the definitive version of Double Dragon, and I have to say it looks great. This footage is from Crazy One's YouTube channel, where he has a lot of playthroughs of this game, as you can play as all the characters. I put a link to his channel in the description, and it's well worth checking them out. Anyway, one day I hope to get a Zeebo, so I can experience the game for myself and complete my Double Dragon journey for real. Okay, that's it for this video. It's been my most enjoyable comparison ever to make, as I just love Double Dragon. Well, maybe not the crappy versions, but they all give me goosebumps still, even if it is for all the wrong reasons. Let me know in the comments below what your memories of Double Dragon are, and if you haven't already, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel for more great retro content. Oh, And if you want to support the channel on Patreon like these truly great people going up the screen right now, get on over to my Patreon page and pledge for as little as $1. That will get your name in the end credits, video requests and more. Till next time, this is OSG, signing out.